Pretty Little Liars, the TV show, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And we have 2 new episodes from season 4 for you.
That's right. I was right to never trust that slimy Brit.
Wren?
Yes. Bad news from day one, and now we just get that he's bad news in a different way.
Also, I was really surprised. You know what you didn't predict?
What?
Ezra's kid not being his. Like, that's the most soap opera plot line they've done on this show thus far. That is so
it really
daytime
is,
soap.
Actually.
And you didn't call that one. I was shocked. I was waiting for that one.
You know?
I thought that was the one. I was like, he'll see this coming. Yeah.
No, it never thought entered my mind.
Brenton hates Ezra so much he doesn't even think about it.
It's that Don Draper meme. I was just like, I just thought he would be a pest about his kid. I never conceived that that he didn't conceive the kid. I just didn't think of it. I'm like, he's just going to be a problem because like he's going to put Malcolm over Arya. And then that's going to be something that they eventually have to work out. Mm-hmm. But now it just worked itself out because Fitz was an even bigger problem. Mm-hmm. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, above and beyond these 2 episodes.
Yeah. Team Jake.
Yeah, Team Jake all the way.
I love Jake.
Yeah. He's, like, very in tune emotionally and, like, good person, as we've seen so far.
Then he makes Arya feel safe.
Yes. Both physically and emotionally. He can beat him up.
Yeah.
He teaches karate. Or, no, not karate. I keep saying that. Martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Team Jake. Why? There's no other option.
No other option.
Yeah.
Are you ready to start your recap?
Let's do it.
All right. Dun, 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 dun,
Pause for dramatic effect.
I'll sing Fantastic.
Okay, episode 80, season 4, episode 9, Into the Deep. Mona is being interrogated at the police station. The officer is running her through the night Wilden died, but he doesn't seem bought in on her story. She tells him about sneaking out of Radley and Wilden being on the train when Garrett died. She also says Wilden was obsessed with trying to pin Allison's murder on her friends and that she tried to blackmail him over this. The officer asks why she confesses now, and Mona says, I won't let my best friend's mom go down for a murder she didn't commit, and starts crying. The officer leaves the room, and Mona, perks right up and dries her tears. Veronica comes home in the morning to Hanna and Spencer waiting. Veronica asks if they put Mona up to this and says things she said in her confession contradict the evidence, which could be bad for Ashley's case. As she walks away, Spencer then turns to Hanna and is like, did you have anything to do with this? And Hannah's like, I don't know. Arya,
not on purpose?
Right, it was supposed to be me. Arya talks to Spencer on the phone as we see Jake inside her house getting dressed. She tells Spencer that he slept on the couch. She comes back inside and Jake asks if it was about Mona. He then invites her to breakfast, but Arya says she has to meet Spencer to study. Can't today. He eventually gets her to agree to coffee on the way over. Emily and Paige are out running and talking about Mona. Paige says, let's talk about this for a moment. It's your birthday tomorrow. Let's make tonight special. We can go to my aunt's lake house, just the 2 of us. I feel like just as a dating tip, going forward, if you're going to plan a surprise party, don't say that you're going to have a special, night just one-on-one with someone and invite a bunch of other people over, because I feel like that could really turn the wrong way for people when they really maybe just want to spend one night alone with you. But,
Yeah, or maybe they don't want to be around people.
Yeah, exactly.
People are kind of
Exactly. Emily's been through a lot. She gives Emily a gift, just like a little gift box. And so Emily opens it up and it's a card for a professional swim trainer. Paige says, keep your options open. You can hopefully swim in the future and you don't have to go to college right away. You can take a year off and then join me. Jake and Arya have coffee. We see that Fitz is also out with Maggie having coffee, and he is distracted and just staring at Arya and Jake. Arya thanks Jake for coffee, and they hug on the way out. Fitz watches them, but is then caught off guard by Maggie saying she's going to go do school, go work. I kind of missed it at the University of Washington, and he's mad that they'll be so far away from him.
I think it's like a master's program.
Okay, that makes sense. Hanna meets with Ashley, and Veronica tells them about Mona, and the confession actually helped Ashley, and so the judge allowed Ashley to stay in town and agreed to bail. And then Veronica's like, one more thing, because he was a cop. Well, actually, first she says, yeah, we can ride this out from home. You don't have to be in jail any longer, except for the bail set at $1 million. Lead with that. Emily meets with the swim trainer. He's very intense, and he monitors the athletes like as much like their what they eat and cardio and all this stuff. Seems overboard to me. And Emily passes him her recruitment video. Hanna is sitting on a bench talking to her dad to get the bail money, and hangs up angry and crying. Pastor Ted is walking by and asks how she's doing.
She's playing bocce ball with the boys or something?
Yeah, he's just out with the boys, getting some exercise. And he's like, I wish I could do something to help Ashley. Ted said, asks how she's doing and wishes he could help do something, and says that Ashley will get through this. Hanna says, but I may not be able to go through this. I need $100,000 to post bail. Ted says, have faith. And Hanna says, I don't need faith, I need money.
Me too, bitch.
So fucking stuff. Keep your thoughts and prayers, Padre. I need some cash. Maggie is packing up, and Fitz is being a dickhead about the move. Fitz says Malcolm could stay with me, and Maggie says no. They argue about it, and Maggie says, I'm the one who's been there for him. And Fitz says, well, whose fault is that? Yours. Maggie leaves angrily. Arya and Spencer discuss Mona, and they don't think that she did anything altruistically, and they wonder what she would have been doing the confession for. Spencer wonders if Mona can sync them with the picture she has of the friends at Wilden's car. Arya grabs Emily's gift out of her locker, which is a framed photo of Paige and Emily. They round a corner and see Shauna and Jenna are talking. On a bench in the courtyard bench, away from everybody. They overhear Shauna tell Jenna it's dangerous. Jenna thinks they should just tell someone. She needs to go talk to someone and tell them about Allison. Shauna says, give me more time to find out where she is, and it'll be over soon. Shauna then helps Jenna stand up and lead her away.
I will note now, so the actress who played Jenna was pregnant during this, and they did not put any effort into hiding this.
Nope.
How on TV shows they'll be like, okay, we'll position you behind the character will be holding a box. I'm pretty sure there's a season of New Girl where
oh my God, Jess, but
what's her name? Zooey Deschanel. Is pregnant, and you can't tell, or there's season. I mean, you can tell if you look for it, but and I think also the same with early Parks and Rec.
Yes, that one is the one that always sticks out to me. Of here we have this in front of you, we have this in front of you.
There's just a bunch of things, but they intentionally hide it, at least for continuity. This they were like, we'll just give her a flowy shirt.
It's fine. Yeah, she literally walked in front of the camera. Veronica brings Ashley home, and Ashley says her bail was posted anonymously, and they think it was Tom getting around Isabel, and Hannah's like, oh, good. Ashley has an ankle monitor, but apparently it can detect alcohol. Veronica then leaves, and the men sit down for breakfast. Minor note, doesn't matter. Emily reviews the tape with the instructor, and he says, you have a lot of potential, and we need to start training now. She's like, once my shoulder heals, and explains the injury. He's like, ooh, I didn't know about the injury. I wouldn't put you in the pool with that sort of injury for at least 6 months, and I don't think you'll be ready for next year's scholarships. If your friend had told me how serious your injury was, I would have saved you the trip down here. Arya and Spencer discuss Jenna potentially knowing if Allison is alive or who killed her, and that Jenna is losing her sight again. Toby tracked down the apartment related to the phone number from Nigel's phone. So we had to go look this back up because I was like, what? The phone number that they got off Nigel at the airport was related to a specific 3 different addresses, and Toby went to them and found the specific address that it was related to. No one lived in that apartment there, and the forwarding address to that apartment is to one in Philadelphia.
Okay, so that's ankle monitors can detect alcohol.
Whoa, that's wild.
Because I think it has to do with I don't know if it's coming off your sweat, it's a breathalyzer.
Damn.
So it can detect minute amounts of alcohol.
Shit.
In a person's sweat, and that their alcohol levels are often checked once an hour.
God damn. Okay.
That's specifically for a scram bracelet. They don't know if that's how it all.
I had no idea. Yeah.
I know very little about this, but yeah, it's a thing.
Good thing Ashley stopped her from drinking. I mean, that's why she's the lawyer. Paige comes in to help them set up for Emily's surprise party. Spencer asks if Paige invited the whole swim team, and like that she needs to uninvite Shauna, because if Shauna comes there, then Jenna will be there.
She needs to invite Shauna. She had uninvited Shauna.
Right, and needs to reinvite her.
Yeah.
Fitz meets with Veronica to get a family lawyer. Veronica says it won't be easy what you're doing. You haven't been involved with Malcolm, and you're not on his birth certificate. The lawyer will help you establish paternity, but this will cost you a lot of money and put a lot of strain on you and like your relationship with like Maggie. And it's like, are you sure you want to do this? He's like, yes, I'm sure. I'm committed to being a problem. Emily's party is going off, and Paige says Emily will be here soon. Arya sees Jake arrive with a blonde to the party and looks jealous. Everyone gets ready for Emily to come in, and then Emily comes in and is sad. She then asks Paige why she lied to the swim coach, and everybody jumps up and yells surprise. Arya talks with Emily. She didn't know about the surprise party, and Arya tells her that Jenna is back. Direct quote, Jenna is back, and she's bumping into walls.
Jesus. The worst.
Ted visits Ashley. She asks how he knew she was home, and he's like, world travels fast. He gives her a pie and says he tried visiting her, but he wasn't let in. And Ashley says, well, that was on my wishes. I didn't want you to come in and see me because I was ashamed. He says you shouldn't be, and I'd love to have dinner once you're settled, and she invites him in to stay for pie. Shauna and Jenna wait outside the party. Jenna is pissed about them being there, and Shauna says we'll be in and out. Arya eyes Jake with the blonde from across the party. Spencer sees her and asks if she's okay. Arya points out Jake and says, I lied to him about what I was doing tonight. Spencer then says, we'll go over there. And Arya's like, no, and I can't believe he came here with a girl. And Spencer then pushes her to go after him. They then see Shauna and Jenna come in. Emily sits by the lake, and Paige comes out to talk. Emily asks Paige about the swim coach again, and Paige says, I wanted to make sure he saw you. Emily's sad, and Paige says, we can go find like other coaches. And Emily's like, why are you pushing me like so much? Like, this is about how badly you want me to swim. She asks what Paige is worried about if she doesn't go to Stanford. Paige is like, we're going to be far apart, and like, you know, that's a long time to be far apart from each other. And Emily says, we just have to face facts that we're not going to be in the same place next year.
We're not going to be together next year.
Together, yeah.
Language is very important.
Mm-hmm.
What does she mean?
What does that mean? Arya and Spencer go to talk to Jenna, and they ask her about her eyes. Shauna asks what they want, and Arya says, we're getting the team together for a photo. And Shauna calls her, and Shauna calls her bluff. It's like, well, we'll all go outside when everybody else does. Hanna leaves her dad a voicemail thanking him for posting Ashley's bail. Hanna then gets a call from Mona. Mona says, they need proof to arrest me, and I can't chat long. I wanted to make sure your mom was home. Hanna says yes, but Mona hangs up before like Hanna could talk to her further, because we see that Mona is in, we assume her room, zipping up a bag and leaving.
Packing her overnight bag to go move into Radley.
Exactly.
A little sleepover.
Mm-hmm. It's my mental health bag. Jake stops Arya at the party.
That's what I call any bag I buy.
This is
for my mental health.
It's gonna have to hold a lot of mental luggage. Jake stops Arya at the party and calls her on her fake plans with their family. She tries to lie, but he doesn't buy it. Arya then calls out the blonde he came with, and Jake asks if she's okay. Arya's like, I'm totally fine. Jake says, you're not jealous. Like, okay, I guess if you're not jealous, like, we're not dating or anything. And Arya's like, yes, we were just friends. And then gets a text from Spencer on setting up the picture. Arya then notices Jenna and Shauna are missing. We see Paige and Emily head back inside to the party. Jenna then tries to get Shauna to leave, and Shauna eventually agrees. Arya stops Jenna before they leave and says, I heard you talking about Allison at school today. If you know anything about her... Did that hurt?
Fucking bad.
Oh my god. Did you hit the ring on the desk?
I don't know what I hit. I hit my hand, and I hit the ring, and I hit the table, and I think I hit the glass.
Oh, good lord. That sounded really rough.
It hurt so bad.
It's okay if I keep going.
Yeah.
So Arya stops Jenna and says, I heard you talking about Allison at school today. If you know anything about her, you have to tell me. And Jenna says, I don't have to tell you anything. And leaves. Ashley and Ted finish the pie. Ashley says, I owe you an explanation. Tells him about Wilden. Ashley tells Ted about seeing Wilden the night he died, but I didn't kill him, and I could have. Ted says everyone has their limits and hugs Ashley as she cries. He agrees to bring dinner over tomorrow, and he says, don't run. I have a lot riding on you. Arya asks Emily where Spencer is. Arya asks Emily where Spencer is because they couldn't find her while Paige is slicing up the cake. They go outside to find her, who is going to go chasing after Jenna, to call out for her and run into Jake. Emily decides to leave the two of them to argue. It's so funny.
Emily's face in that scene is a 10 out of 10. She's just like, I can't.
She's just...
Jesus Christ.
And then sees someone floating face down in the lake. She runs and yells for Spencer, but then turns over her body to see it's Jenna and pulls her out of the water. Jenna gets wheeled away by an ambulance, and Shauna explains she was walking away on her own. Emily tells the friends that there was blood on the back of her head and noticed that there's blood now on Emily's sleeve. Shauna stares angrily at the friends. Hanna receives the call on Jenna's status as her mom comes in. Ashley spoke to Tom, and he didn't post the bail money. It was Ted. Hanna says, he must really like you. Paige and Emily discuss Jenna. Emily wonders who did this to Jenna, and Paige says who said someone did. Maybe she just hit her head on a rock. Emily says someone definitely did, and I think it's about Allison. Jake is back as Arya's, and he's haunted about Jenna almost dying and says, I didn't know your life was like this complicated. I see why you're on edge all the time. Arya then coughs and is like, I do have feelings for you, and they kiss and make out. Paige asks if... Exactly. Paige asks if Emily is asleep, but to no response, and turns out the light. But we see that Emily is wide awake. Spencer arrives at the hospital and sees Shauna. She asks who did this to Jenna. Shauna says, you and your friends are just bad news. Spencer says you could be next or me and asks if it was Allison. Shauna then turns around and is like, Allison is dead. Spencer asks who's Jenna's afraid of, and Shauna says Cece Drake. Mona arrives back at Radley and is put back in her old room and looks at the desk with the engraving that says, will the circle be unbroken, and smiles. Someone in a red hood appears outside of someone's home. We later find out the DeLaurentis house, and waits for the lights to go out. You probably would, if you recognize the house, you could recognize the DeLaurentis house. Some of us needed confirmation in the next episode. They walk up and use a drill to get under the main structure of the house. In our A scene, we see red liquid spilling on a floor. Gloved hand picks up a spilled wine bottle on a piano. They then open the piano cover and start to play. They finished playing and then put away the note sheet for a song called Anytime.
The sheet music?
Sheet music, note sheet. And they put it in an envelope labeled Toby Kavanaugh. The end.
Love that. I did when I first watched this episode back in the day. Mm-hmm. I was like, maybe Jenna's pregnant because they don't hide that the actress is pregnant. Mm-hmm. That is not going to play out in any way, shape, or form.
Because they are
but because she was attacked, I was like, maybe it's like, yeah, is it Wilden?
Right, exactly. He's not actually dead. Someone angrily being like, yeah, you can't have my child. Yeah, but nobody else comments on it. So
nope. I was just like, huh.
That's a totally valid response.
Only because they didn't hide it. Mm-hmm. I totally get when they're if I don't question if an actor or actress gains weight or anything or their face changes and stuff like that. But when they don't they intentionally don't hide the belly, I was like, oh,
yeah.
But no,
nobody is just Jenna's back and she's pregnant.
Yeah, or who's the father?
It'd
have to be Arya. Arya's the only one who makes mean comments about Jenna.
Right. She's back and she's pregnant. But also because it's over such a short period of time.
Yeah, how?
Would it be showing? Yeah. Extremely accelerated.
Okay. Why is there a discrepancy between the information Mona shares and the evidence for Wilden?
Oh, is she intentionally doing that?
Yeah, or did Hanna have the wrong information? Or is Mona intentionally doing it? Is it because then she's like, oh, they'll think I'm crazy, but not think I did it?
I had assumed it was Mona.
Okay.
Intentionally doing it because Mona coached. I think the one piece of information is the shots. Mm-hmm. Because the police ask her
3.
Yeah. And then she's like, I told you it was 2. Uh-huh. And then she also coached Hanna the last time through it.
That it was 2.
That it was 2, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming Mona's playing a game, which is helping get Ashley off, but I don't know how it's benefiting Mona. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because then Mona's going to go on the run, so then it makes Mona look that much worse. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what the game is.
Me neither.
But But I do think they say like that all the other friends are going, she doesn't do anything altruistically. And I think that's true, but I do think there is some credence of like, I don't want to see my like best friend's mom go to jail. Because I still think that's true. When are those two crazy kids going to be friends again? They're going to share the heart necklace.
The best friend's necklace?
Mm-hmm.
Hannah and Pastor Ted.
Sorry, not to interrupt again, but out of every single pair on the show, I want them to succeed the most. Just be friends again.
You just want them to be friends again?
Yeah.
Hannah and Pastor Ted, when she's like, I don't need faith, I need money. Me too, girly. We've already talked about this, but
fucking right.
Why would Pastor Ted post the bail? And where did he get $100,000?
That's the thing. I understand why Pastor Ted would do it.
How?
Exactly.
Did he sell the
how? You let an innocent man have his reputation dragged through the streets while you're making your money off the bell. I have no idea where Pastor Ted would have $100,000 just lying around.
I guess maybe he doesn't have to like spend money on anything besides buying Ashley pie.
I guess.
Doesn't he get like subsidized housing?
Yeah, but I don't think most like priests are like.
He's a pastor. He's not a priest.
Fair. I made great investments.
He's like a mega church,
right? I don't know if it. Then the other alternative is that this is like going to be some sort of turn on Ted, being a bad guy. I don't buy into that.
I don't really.
But that was the other thing. I was just like, okay, I don't know how a pastor would have this much money. I don't think most pastors have $100,000 just lying around. But I guess Pastor Ted is,
he's different. He's not like other pastors.
He's a pastor in Rosewood, maybe. They got a little bit more. Maybe the donations are a little heavier from the parishioners.
I love it.
It's a donation, Michael. How much could it be? $50?
Shauna and Jenna. Why did the cops talk to Jenna? Because that's what they're talking about in that first conversation that Arya and Spencer overhear. She's like, I should have told the cops about that when they talked to me. Do you think it was from?
Oh, it was when they talked to me.
I thought it was when they talked to me. Am I wrong?
Oh, you could be right. Like, why did they stop her and not like Shauna?
Yeah, or like when did she, like what instance is she referring to?
Right.
Like when Allie went missing, or like when the house, when she was blinded, or more recently
burning the house down,
or
when Jenna was involved with that.
Yeah, and she was also burnt in she was blinded in a fire, and then she was locked in Jason's house during fire.
Yeah, that's curious.
Jenna's got a very low-key life. Jesus,
yeah. Don't, if you ever wonder why Jenna's the way she is, extremely distrustful. I guess my assumption would be probably like around that fire. But I assumed that the crux of the conversation is they're talking about Cece. It's finding Cece. And that they should have told the cops to look into Cece. Because it seems like the cops aren't looking into her. And like Shauna seems like we need to handle this on our own. I'm assuming Cece knows something about them, and that's why they're afraid of her.
Okay.
Maybe stretching back, because I don't think there's any other than Jenna being like, the Wilden was a friend when I came here. I don't think there's anything else that's public information about like her connection to Wilden. So I don't think the cops would have interviewed her about the death.
Okay.
And so she's like, maybe I should go to them about Cece and things, because that's related to all that and them working together. Which makes me believe that like when Melissa's like, we were all afraid of Wilden, I don't buy that as much. It's all going back to the Halloween episode. Sticking to it.
Who hit Jenna and put her in the lake?
2 sounds. Well, if Jenna falls in the water, as if no one's around to hear it.
Someone had to be there to hear it. Someone had to hit her.
Yeah. It seems...
in the back of the head.
Yeah. And it seems suspicious that, like, Shauna wasn't with her. I don't know what Shauna would get out of this, but it seems suspicious why they were separated when Spencer was going to chase after him. I mean, could it be Cece? It seems like that's the bogeyman for this week. Or is it Melissa?
Melissa's back and she's hitting.
Off screen, everybody should be wondering, what is Melissa up to? I don't know if there's anybody else that I could like see attacking her yet. Grundy.
Why?
Just cause
I love it.
People be sus.
Will Emily get to swim next year?
Oh man. Don't go. I guess you can go to the. I feel like that. Like, I don't know enough about athletic gyms about like competing at that high of a level. But it seemed like that was the type of gym where it'd be like, yeah, they churn out the best people, but like, my God, they all leave with.
This girl hasn't seen an Oreo in 7 years.
Right. They all leave with it's like bullying and stuff like that. Various psychological traumas. I don't think like competitively. I feel like at some point we are going to get Emily back in a pool swimming laps because she wants to. And I think that's where we need to get to.
I love it.
I feel like it would undercut everything if she's like, and I can compete again and I got a scholarship.
Mm-hmm. Mona going back to Radley. Does she have a plan?
Oh yeah. She's happy. She's like a pig in shit, Radley.
I love when you city boys use your country euphemisms.
Yeah, she just comes in and she's like, yes. I had forgotten about the engraving and how we don't know anything about that yet.
Of her carving into the table with the circle being broken. Mm-hmm. It's from that song.
Yes. But I mean, what does that actually have to do with anything other than maybe it's just a hymn she likes?
It triggered Spencer's memories.
Right.
It was a plot point.
But if it showed anything, if there's like any other meaning to it for her carving it in there.
I think it was just, I think one, it was like her showing her like connection to Allison and her quote unquote like instability. But I think also it was just to make sure we understood that she was in the same room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fair enough. But no, Mona's up to something. Maybe it's related to Toby's mom.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Who's under the DeLaurentis house?
And in the DeLaurentis house next episode, that could seem like a Cece hideout. I could, because it seems like Redcoat is not on the Jenna Shauna side.
Okay. Yeah, because we got a red coat and a black hoodie in these 2 episodes.
Yes. And is Redcoat part of anybody? It's a hard one because black hoodies we know are A-team.
Mm-hmm.
But like, who's on the A-team anymore? Toby isn't. Mona isn't, as far as we know. And it seemed like the Redcoat was leading them along without even being part of it. So I guess my best guess would be Cece running around in the Allison mask.
Okay. Who was playing the piano with the sheet music? That was a black hoodie.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, because then it's like, and then mailing a Toby.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
So we know the black hoodies are tied to A's because that is signed Kisses A.
Right. Damn, that really throws me off then, of like who would be under the DeLaurentis house and who would be the black hoodie. Because my connection with Cece and Toby's mom then that we get next episode is like Cece seems to be, I would assume Cece is trying to lead them to something that's in the past about Radley, if Cece was in and out of there at that time. So then it would seem like Cece would be the one, the black coat. So then if we're talking about Redcoat, and it would be sitting underneath Allison's house. Boy.
But was the piano they were playing on the one that's in the DeLaurentis house?
I thought that for a moment.
When we get the flashback.
Yeah.
In the next episode.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't remember if they have hardwood floors, though. And it kind of seemed like it was in a sparse room.
I think they do. That's what they drill through hardwood floors.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Right. I guess it could be in the... But then... Is the black hoodie and the red coat the same person? I don't think so. I would assume 2 different people because that's why they're showing us 2 separate events. So then is Redcoat trying to spy on the black hoodie? Potentially. Yeah. That's why the hole's in the floor.
Where's Jason?
Where is Jason?
Oh, he's at their grandmother's house?
Supposedly.
Yeah.
As far as we know. Doing renovations.
I'm hitting everything.
A lot of
today.
ins and outs.
Hit my microphone. I've hit the table. Violent.
Yeah. We're in a tough moment at the moment for like theories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running out of people to point the finger at.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It could be like Shauna or someone in there, but I don't know what their idea would be for like going after like Toby's mom and stuff like that.
The second half of this season gets wild. Wild. I mean,
after all the setup.
Uh-huh. They really were close a bunch of loops to open some new ones.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And they really have.
Mm-hmm. Well, those are my only questions on this episode.
Okay. Yeah, the this is what I was gonna ask. If you just share about the behind the scenes for pulling Jenna out of the water.
Well, that she was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
They had to film it like in the middle of the night because that's when you film nighttime things. So.
Right. So. And then you just like Shay Mitchell was like
I think there's an interview where she said they just had to be. I mean, it's cold. It's the middle of the night, and then you have to be like really careful that you're not like injuring a pregnant person. So you like hold them in the water, which sounds awful.
Yeah.
For all of them, especially Tammin, who is pregnant. That sounds like the fucking worst.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then you also have to lie. Like I guess at that point it's like lying like upside and waiting to be dragged out.
Yeah, I don't know how they did that, and like if they used body doubles for part of it, because it just seems like miserable and a lot.
Yeah, but absolutely.
Gotta love it.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta love that.
Oh, and how does Nigel play into all that?
How does Nigel play in?
Yeah, that's a good question. Episode 81, Season 4, Episode 10, The Mirror Has Three Faces.
I never really understand this title.
No, I don't either.
I looked on the wiki and I can't remember, but it was like not helpful.
Cool. Probably a reference to something that we don't know. The friends talk about being unable to see Jenna. They're sneaking into the school all quietly because they're late, because they had tried to go visit her at the hospital. Hanna wants to follow up with Shauna to find out why Jenna is afraid of Cece, and vows to find Cece for more info. Emily gets a text from Pam saying that Mrs. DeLaurentis has invited them to stay at the house. Hanna says, "You have to stay at Allie's whole house. It's our best chance to find Cece." Spencer says Hanna could have been more sensitive with Emily now that she doesn't have a house and all that stuff. And also hurt her shoulder and like she's going through a hard time. And it's like, maybe like we should have asked her mom to stay with one of us. Hanna then goes to talk to Caleb, and Spencer sees Fitz angrily attacking a doorknob and offers to pick the lock for him. Fitz goes to the janitors instead, and Spencer stops him to pick up his bag that he forgot. Hanna pushes Caleb on the P.O. box that Toby tracked down. Caleb's like, okay, well, I can show you a payable bill that went to the P.O. box that's attached to an address in Philly. Arya shows Jake printed photos of him doing martial arts, and he's like, wow, it looks so good. He has a regional championship tonight, and Arya asks if she can come. Wren shows Mona an image and asks, it's like an image of a family, like black and white. Like it looks like something that you would draw in. I mean, he's later drawing it in. That's like almost looks like a coloring book page, and asks about her emotional response to this image. I'm sorry. His fluidity as a doctor cracks me up sometimes. He was working in a hospital in Scrubs, and now he's like an expert on mental health. He asked for her emotions, given what she did. Mona says, I realized I'm on the same side as the other girls, and that Wilden was bothering them, so I got rid of him. Wren says, I don't believe you. Why do you lie to me now? You didn't used to. Mona says, that was before I realized where your loyalties lie. Wren says, I don't know what that means. I thought we established trust. Mona says, that was before I knew you were keeping secrets from me. She calls him out on his misspelling diagnosis on his paper, as he wrote down that Mona is exhibiting extreme distrust and paranoia delusions of persecution. Wren says, you've been keeping a secret, and you know I'm smart enough to figure it out. You stop taking your medication, and he gets up and leaves. Toby's back at the brew and sees an envelope addressed to him on the stairs. He sees that inside it's the sheet music with a sticky note that says, leave a lamb alone and go for the lion, signed by A. Emily wheels her stuff into Allison's old room with Spencer and says, I can't stay here. It's like a museum. Spencer then is like, well, just try and like look on the positive side and tells her all these creepy facts. And then Pam is going to be in Harrisburg until tomorrow because of a police inquiry, and so won't be here with her. Mrs. DeLaurentis then interrupts them and works to get Emily all settled. She opens up Allison's standalone wardrobe and is haunted by seeing like all her old dresses. And then they're like, oh no, like I don't need to hang up things. It's okay. And she gives Emily a house key. Caleb visits Hanna. He asks if Hanna wants to check into the address in Philadelphia. Hanna says Arya will. She's already out there. Can we do something else? Let's break into Radley to follow up on Mona. Caleb is angry and says that we shouldn't, with all the wild things happening. And Hanna says Mona isn't the enemy. Caleb says, we don't know that. I think it's time you told your parents and the cops that A is back. Hanna disagrees. Hanna goes to the brew and sees Wren sitting at a counter. Hanna says she hunted him down to follow up on Mona. Wren says, I can't let you see her. Hanna says, I wanted to ask about Cece because you let her in to visit Mona when she was there. Wren says a blonde supposedly came by yesterday trying to see Mona. I thought it was you, and since the hospital has been short-staffed, things might have been missed. Hanna says, can't you see on the security cameras if it was her? He says, I'll see what I can do. As she leaves, Wren makes a call on his cell saying, we have a problem. I'll take care of my end. You take care of yours. Spencer discusses the note from A. She thinks he should go after Dr. Palmer again. Toby says the sheet music is a song his mom used to play all the time, maybe something to do with her doctor. Toby asks Spencer to come with him to see Dr. Palmer and urges her not to say anything to her friends because you have to keep this a secret until I find out what happened with her, or else A will no longer feed us information. Emily looks around the DeLaurentis house. We see someone see her from outside the window. We also see a piano sitting in the living room. Jessica asks Emily if she needs anything and accidentally drops a bunch of papers. Emily picks them up and Jessica says they're divorce papers from her husband. Fitz drops an envelope in front of Maggie and she's shocked. He went to see lawyers about preventing them from leaving and he says, you don't care. She sees the envelope that is from a genetic lab and Fitz says, you knew I wasn't the father. Hanna is getting coffee and sees Caleb about to go into Veronica's building and he stops her. She stops him and he's like, I was going to tell the cops about A and I just don't know how to keep you safe anymore. I'm not enough. Hanna says, yes, you are, and embraces him. And then we see Wren is watching them from across the street. Veronica sorts through the files at home and we see Wren is visiting her. She asks angrily why he is here. Wren says, I need to warn you about Mona. You should be careful. Veronica says, why should I care as a defense attorney she's actually helping? Wren says, she'll turn the tables on you. She doesn't forgive your daughter. Veronica says, you could be fired for saying that. Wren says, if I hadn't made a mess of things, you were once going to be my family, so I need to help out. Maggie says she was mad at Fitz back in high school back in the day, and they were in fights all the time and went to a party with her friends and made a mistake. She didn't know definitively who the father was for Malcolm. Fitz says, I have no sympathy for you. I've gotten too close to him now. Maggie says, I'm sorry, and leaves. Arya is on the hunt in Philadelphia and stops a woman outside the address building saying she's looking for Cece Drake, and the woman's like, if you find her, let me know. Emily talks to Jessica about grieving and how Allison haunts her and thinks she sees Allison all around. Jessica confides in Emily about her divorce, and Emily talks to her about her relationship and sexuality and also seeing Allison all around, and then they grow closer. Arya talks to the woman. Cece was supposedly still paying rent on the apartment, even after she dropped out of UPenn, but it turns out that's not the case anymore. Arya says, or if it was at all. Arya says she thought she was kicked out of UPenn, and the woman picks up on this and says, it's opposite. Sorry. The woman says Cece was kicked out. Arya's I thought she dropped out. The woman then picks up on this and says, I thought you were friends. Wouldn't you know this? And Arya says, I wasn't friends with Cece. I was friends with Allison, though. Woman says, then you know she got kicked out. Weren't you also at that frat party? Cece said Allison always had these other 4 she-devils with her. And then Arya's like, she-devils? That's not nice. And Arya's like...
right out of all the things that they...
Arya's just like, no. She would say that? Arya's like, I don't remember the party. The woman says Cece remembered it and thought you were all in on it and hated you for it. Hanna comes into the DeLaurentis house and calls out but gets no response. We then see a red coat enter a room. Hanna searches around and finds Allison's old room, but hears a noise down the hall. Hanna continues looking around the room and notices Allison's old jewelry box and opens up the lid. And we get a shot from the looking into the mirror of the jewelry box. And then we see someone in an Allison mask in the red coat, looks in, but then continues moving on. But Hanna doesn't pick up on this person walking by. Toby and Spencer go to visit Dr. Palmer. Toby shows him the sheet music. He laughs and says it's a good one, but he doesn't know how to play. Mona is visited by Veronica. She asks how she got in and says, you must have made friends with the nurse when your daughter was here. Veronica says, I want to have a chat off the record. Arya gets a call from Fitz. Jake says he's up, a call from Fitz as she's standing on the street. She doesn't answer it yet, though, as Jake pops out of the studio. He's like, I'm up in 5. And she's like, can't wait to cheer you on. She declines the call from Fitz, and we all cheer. Veronica asks why Mona confessed. She tells Mona that she can be pretty scary, so don't use this against my daughter and her friends. Mona says the only one who messed with them was Wilden, and he's dead now. Veronica says, I have it your way. If you go against them, I have ways to make sure you rot in a cell. Toby continues to talk to Dr. Palmer, but they're just going in circles. Spencer then plays the song on the piano, and he's like, oh, Marion loves that song. Like, that's so lovely. Is Toby coming today? Spencer keeps playing and plays the part of Toby's mother, says he's not coming. Dr. Palmer encourages her to keep playing and to play for Toby. He would love that. Spencer asks about the little blonde girl to steer clear of, and Dr. Palmer says, oh, yes, that's right. An orderly comes in to wheel him away as Spencer asks if it was Cece Drake. Dr. Palmer asks the orderly to show Mrs. DeLaurentis to his office. Spencer then catches Hanna and Emily up on the visit, and they wonder why Spoby would be visiting a home anyway. Like old folks' home. Emily says, I'm not going to just ask Jessica about this because she's fragile right now. Spencer and Hanna go to leave and are stopped by Jessica to stay for dinner. Spencer asks if she knows Dr. Palmer and if she was her psychiatrist. Jessica says, if it's the person who I'm thinking of, I only met him once. Hanna asks if it was Allison's doctor, and Jessica says no. In the flashback, Allison plays piano in the house, and Jessica storms in. She says, I got a phone call this afternoon that my daughter was at Radley and that she was afraid of hurting herself. I arrived at Radley to find that it wasn't you, it was Cece Drake. And Allison's like, wow, that crazy bitch actually did it. Allison says, I didn't even know she was going to do it. Jessica says that the last thing you will ever do together. Doctor agrees that the girl's like it. That your relationship is toxic and that girl is no longer allowed in this house in the present. Spencer asks if they had done anything like that before. Jessica says no, but their relationship was always obsessive. Hanna asks like wearing each other's clothes, and Jessica is more like wearing each other's personalities. Spencer and Hanna catch Caleb up at the Hastings. Veronica comes in and asks if Hanna has spoken to Ashley lately. Someone made an anonymous complaint to the court that Veronica bullied Mona into her confession. Veronica has to drop Ashley as her client. Jake and Arya eat burritos on a stoop, post martial arts match, and make out. Arya's just in her own separate love story.
I love it. For once, I mean, she's always in her own separate love story,
right.
But let's let the girl be happy.
Mm-hmm. Emily Wolfe did, fall for your sins. Emily comes home to find Jessica knitting. A handyman comes in and says, your circuit breaker was blown. I fixed it, but it looks like you have a bigger problem. At the Hastings, Veronica gets a call. Hanna freaks out and says, I have to go home to my mom. Spencer and Caleb try to calm her down. And she says, who do you think made that tip? We then see Wren talking on a phone and Radley saying, I was so shocked to hear this, that it was my former mother-in-law. Like, as he colors in the photo he showed Mona earlier, giving the woman in it a red coat. Interesting. Jessica and Emily step into the DeLaurentis basement and see that there's a sleeping bag and trash under the main structure of the house. Jessica says, sure looks like someone used this as a temporary home. Must have been after Jason moved out. Jessica is like, doesn't really care about it and leaves. Emily then shuts off the lights, but notices holes drilled into the bottom of the floor. In the wreckage of the Fields home, a gloved hand places Ashley's Manolo Blancs covered in mud amongst the rubble. The end. Now, why was Ashley going and stomping around in the Fields home after it was demolished by a car?
You're right. That's obviously
What's happening.
That's supposed to look like.
Now, Ashley, you came from the murder, you ran the car in there, and you stomped around.
With weeks in between.
Yes.
And she was in jail when it happened. Arya has a himbo. How long will this last?
Oh, it can't last long.
I know, and it's too bad, huh? Because I don't remember how long it takes. But
yeah, I bet historically people were complaining. I bet they were.
My issue with this always was I finally, like, Arya would get a new guy, right? I would like him. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, wow, step up. Like, I like Jake. You know what? Yeah. I think it's great. I think this is a happy, healthy relationship. And and then they'll rip it away from you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why?
Yeah,
Why?
absolutely. Especially for Fitz, who is the biggest fucking problem. Especially when you find out this is a kid that you haven't been involved with. You're blaming the woman who was blackmailed into not telling you anything. Mm-hmm. And then you act it like it's her fault that you didn't get to grow up and see like who you thought you was your child. And then you take this child behind her back to go get a paternity test. I would be absolutely livid if I was Maggie.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's...
Which reminds me, we do need to get Herman paternity tested. Make sure he's your corgi.
Oh no. It's so wild.
It's so wild.
Like, what a problem.
Also, yeah. Your name isn't on the birth certificate. So.
Mm-hmm. And he's just like, oh, I'm gonna make you. He's absolutely the person that's just like, okay, like I understand. I need to meet you where you're at because you have been the one that has been caring for this child. Mm-hmm. Instead, he doubles down and he's like, I'm gonna use my money to make your life hell.
Mm-hmm. Ezra's the worst.
Absolutely.
The worst.
And I'd again, like taking the kid behind their back to get a paternity test is wild.
Also, like,
that's a giant breach of trust.
I don't condone cheating, but like teenagers leaving for college, sleeping with someone else, like the whole story behind like why he's so mad and like that it could have been someone else that was the father and like they were still together. Like you were going to school.
Right.
You guys were going to break up. I get being upset about that.
And he's all mad because he's like, we're not blood related and you let us get close. Mm-hmm. You forced your way in there.
You little weasel.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, okay, never mind. I was going to say, out of all the things that we've hated Fitz for in this show, it's like, well, no, okay.
No,
well,
he's still a predator.
Yeah, he was always a predator. Uh-huh. Yeah. But it just so much like more of just an outright asshole. Mm-hmm. He was like more passive in things with like Arya problems where it's just like you really need to like step up and protect her. But like, yeah. Uh-huh. How dare you?
Mm-hmm. Okay. What are Wren's loyalties?
My guess is Cece. I think with Cece's connection to there, because Annie also let her in, I think they're working together.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my best guess.
Okay.
Because that's why I go that Cece is the one. Well, maybe that's a theory corner thing to come back around.
We'll come back.
But I think that's what it is. Because it doesn't seem like he is working at all with Shauna and Jenna. Yeah, which makes the possibility of red coat so much harder for me to parse, because then Cece maybe isn't red coat. Okay, we'll come back around.
Does Wren work at Radley full time now?
Apparently. That's what I'm saying. What did you get a degree in, sir? Being a menace?
You do like multiple types of medicine when you're doing your whole like MD program or whatever, and then you pick a specialty to do end.
But do you go from... I don't think you go from like I'm gonna be like a nurse or
well,
like...
I think at one point you go through like all the different like you try a bunch of different things, and then...
But does that include being a psychiatrist and a counselor?
Yeah, I don't think so.
And now he's just like the primary doctor at Radley.
Mm-hmm. I have questions about Wrens.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Doctor.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny. He's the Swiss Army doctor. They just put him wherever you need him. Okay, we're going to have a mental health facility as our new location for these seasons, so we're going to slot Wren in.
I am so excited for you to follow the journey of Radley.
Already it's been a journey, but I'm assuming this is related to Toby's mom too, and like other people's like continued existence there. Whatever the show Miss DeLaurentis into a room and stuff like that is.
Uh-huh.
Which I think is Cece.
And then in the very last couple seasons, Radley gets like a little bit of a makeover.
Oh.
So I'm excited for you to like witness that.
Beautiful.
It gets like a change in ownership, if you will.
Ooh, under new management.
Uh-huh.
And I will say it's funny now that we're getting a turn from Wren. Mostly because I didn't think the show was on the same page as us on this. that we were being like, oh, Wren is such a problem. He's the perfect British like love interest, and like, you know, pursuing the girls, and then now he's just like fully mask off, like, I'm a little gremlin, like coordinating things from behind the scenes. You would never suspect me.
You still, like, now, even with this information, you could not, gun to the head, predict where his plot is gonna go.
Beautiful. I love it.
I literally like have to like Google every now and then to make sure I didn't have like a fever dream.
This wasn't just a dream I had where like Wren was in it. Great. I love it. I'm along for the ride for this stuff.
Should the girls tell the cops A is back, like Caleb suggests, or tell Mrs. Hastings?
I think maybe telling Mrs. Hastings. I think actually telling Ashley. From the beginning, I think you should have involved Ashley. I don't think any of the other parents need to know.
This is a need to know basis. And like, Hanna, your mom is the only one who can keep a secret.
Right. I don't trust the cops.
We don't trust Pam.
Pam is essentially the cops of parents. And they made that explicit by having her work at the station. I think Veronica could potentially be trustworthy too. Veronica, you know, she keeps these hush-hush.
I think she'd do anything to protect Spencer.
And I think Ashley is already so involved that like you owe it to Ashley to tell her. She has had her life ruined because of and spent time in a jail cell because of this. I think the least you could do is let your mother know that like A is back and making your life hell also.
Why is
the
Wren...
sixth friend, Ashley.
Why is Wren watching Hanna and Caleb make out?
Because she's the problem, so he's making sure that...
He's just watching her?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But it does look like, you're taking my woman from me. She will be mine. But I think it is literally just he's following up on the problem that he talked about at the phone by being a problem in his car.
Why was Wren warning Veronica? Was it just to like cause more trouble?
Yes, to make her more suspicious of Mona. And I think also her going to see Mona is going to blow back against him. Because I think...
Well, it already did.
Sorry. Oh, right. Because like she showed up there. Is that what he was referring to?
Well, and sense. Because when she's like, oh, I have to be off the case because I've been accused of...
bullying her.
And there's evidence now because she went to Radley.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I think
I don't think she tells the girls that, but like that's why she's like, oh no, like I can't interfere.
I think that's exactly what he's doing. He's doing it to fuck with the case and to blow it up on Mona.
Will Mona turn on the girls?
No. Okay. I think Mona is 100% on their side now.
She's ready to die.
Yeah, she's just doing things her way. She's like she's not against the girls, but she's not with the girls. You know what I mean? Like she is not actively working against them in the way that like Wren is. And so that's why I think Wren is like pointing things at her. And I think Mona's too smart for him. I think it's going to blow back up on him. Because Mona is, as we know, the smartest character on the show.
She's very, like, if you read Throne of Glass, very Aelin vibes, where Aelin's like, I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm not going to tell anyone what I'm doing because you will fuck it up. Right. And y'all better play along.
I've been doing this on my own. I'm going to figure it out. And I think she's also like, I need to figure out who Redcoat is. And y'all don't trust me, and I don't care enough to like walk you through why you should trust me anymore. Yeah. Either you do or you don't.
And it's dangerous for me to explain it to you.
Yeah. Mona's the best.
Did Allison get Cece kicked out of UPenn for shoving that girl down the stairs at the frat party, or is it?
That's what it is. I forgot.
It's another flashback. Was it in a Halloween episode?
Yes. I'm like, what happened at that party? And it was the girl fell down the stairs. Yes, I do think that Allison 100% did get her kicked out.
It was all Allison's fault.
Yeah, I do think there's part of it. And I think there's more going on, but I just noticed it was raining.
It's been raining this whole time.
Wow.
It's been raining the whole time.
Couldn't hear out of the sound of my own voice.
I told you you're loud when we do this.
I do try and speak louder when we do this so I can like have the microphone levels. But good God. Rain, watch out. Inclement weather.
Thunder warning.
Yeah. Booming voice. But I think there's more going on for why Cece hates the girls and is trying to get after them. But I do think it is 100% true that she got kicked out of there. And that's why she told Arya that she only dropped out.
Okay. Who was in the DeLaurentis house with Hanna in the red coat with the alley mask?
Don't think it now that I'm putting together my things. I think Cece and Wren are like team A, so I think they'd probably be in the black hoodie stuff. So then who
They couldn't just wear different outfits?
No, I think when we see these things, it's like distinct.
Okay.
Like when you see the red coat, like that is a distinct set of people than the people in the black hoodies.
Okay.
You're dead wrong.
I'm just saying you might be putting more thought into this than the writers did.
Someone has to.
You and Mona are playing chess.
Yes. Well, she's much smarter than me. At least I'm like going off the board. But yeah, that's really tough. Who was living under there? Who would want to watch them? What do they want to watch for? Could be a live Allison. I don't know, living under the floorboards.
You make it sound like they have a possum.
Possum with thumbs.
Skunk in the basement.
Yeah, a possum with thumbs, leaving all sorts of trash. Clean up your trash. Okay, gun to my head. If I had to make a guess, Melissa.
She hadn't even been part of the conversation until that moment.
That's right.
But I should have known. Is there significance of the ring that Hanna looks at in Allie's jewelry box when she sees A, or is it just for something to do with her hands?
I had forgotten about that. I think that probably has something to, because I mean Hannah's drawn to it for a specific reason.
I couldn't tell you why. Like I don't remember.
Yeah, I could see that coming back up. Like kind of like when you see the jewelry on the different costumes in last season. I think there's something to do with that, but it wouldn't be like a significant thing probably. But yeah, I would think she was like, yeah, we don't even get a flashback for it, but I would think that Hanna recognized it.
The whole Allie, Cece wearing each other's personalities thing. What's the why there? What's the significance? Why is this girl's like significantly older than Allie?
Yeah, and then they're like buddy and like doing weird shit.
You know what I was not like doing at 18? Hanging out with 13, 14-year-olds.
Yeah, and then also
even younger.
Right. What was the dare that put Cece in Radley? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And that, like, she's like, damn, that crazy son of a bitch did it.
Literally.
Right? It's and yeah, I would see from like the, especially like Jessica's point of view, it's just like, yeah, this is like really weird that like you're young and in middle school. I don't think you should be hanging this much with
like freshman year of high school.
Right. And the way you act together is like,
yeah, it's not that there's like an older girl that's like mentoring her, taking care of her, or like hanging out with her, like, oh, we're gonna go to the mall and go shopping and like make her feel cool. Because like there's nothing better than when you're like younger and you meet like a girl who's like especially a teenager, but like even like when you're little and you have like a older girl who like takes an interest in you and like an older sister, like loving way. But this is obviously like a menacing protege way. Totally.
And there's a line
and almost
like,
equals.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting at. Like, or going to get at and like even with like other like guys and stuff. There's that line, right, where it's like there are certain activities maybe we do together, but it's like when you're also bringing her into situations, especially as a girl, that are like for different maturity levels, like the maturity level of high school, bringing in say a middle schooler around like other like high school age people are getting up to things like that's a different jump where you now need to start to worry. And I think Cece probably sees or saw someone that was on a similar vibe to her, treats her as an equal, and then like knowing Allison, it starts to get out of hand between them because they're both so menaces. Yeah. And so I think it's like pretending to be me, pretend to be you, and we mess with people. And I think that's why there's like this linchpin of like me thinking that Cece has to do with Wren and Radley, is that there's no record of Cece being at Radley because she was pretending to be Allison doing things there and running into other people, like say Toby's mom and things like that.
Okay, I like it. Where is Caleb living right now?
I remember you brought that up when we were watching it.
Is he still sharing a room with Lucas?
I know.
Does he have his own place?
Like, God knows, he has no one else to stay with.
He and Toby could have split the rent.
Oh yeah, he could be staying at the brew. Boy's house, couple of lads, you know, living above a coffee shop. What's better?
Que romantico.
Mm-hmm.
Why did A or Red Coat or Black Hoodie, I can't remember who, put the shoes in the crash site at Emily's house?
Oh, it was at least black gloves and stuff. I can't figure out what the connection is with like putting it at the Fields' home. I can understand that it's like, here are the shoes for the police to find, so that you can then like be like, oh, Ashley was there. But why at the Fields is baffling to me. So that's what I was saying, like joking that she was just clomping around the wreckage site. I don't know if they're like trying to relate the two things, but I don't think that's true either. It's weird. It doesn't make sense to me now. Maybe, I mean, obviously, well, I would hope that we follow up on it in the next episode or so.
Also, no one's cleaned that wreck site yet?
Apparently not. They just left all the pictures.
It's a mess. Those are my final questions on this episode.
Okay.
Do you have theories?
Well, they're a little shaky, so I have conjecture.
He's got a house of stilts.
All right. Yeah, that's right. Haven't been doing leg day. All right, let us step into Theory Corner. Welcome to Theory Corner, everybody. Okay. So, as I've been alluding to, I think Wren and Cece are working together.
Okay.
I think they are potentially one of the new A's that is floating around this season. They're not working. I don't think they're working with Jenna and Shauna, and I think that's why Jenna and Shauna are scared of her.
Okay.
Because there's something that she's knows about them and can potentially use against them, and I think that's also why Wilden was like mad at her. There's something that group doesn't have that Cece has on them, and I think still could be relating back to their NAT club days that Cece knows and could be like coming back after them for, because there is still that thing of they're all dropping one by one, and so they should be on edge in general. It could be maybe a getting revenge for Allison sort of thing. I've had that theory in the past. I think that could still float here. And that's why they're going after her. And I think Cece had stayed at Radley under Allison's name. And so when they find a record that it says Allison was here, they're going to be like, oh my God, was Allison actually seeing someone? And like Jessica's like, no, they were like playing each other's like they're changing names. It was weird. Freaked me out. It's a weird girl. And that's why there's like this connection to Toby's mom, which I don't know exactly what that would have to do with anything yet, but like she was obviously a problem when she was there. Well, she was a problem outside too, but like caused some sort of issues there. Where Wren comes in, well, as you continue to allude to, it's a ride. But he has something to do with their that because of the him like I think he went to work at Radley because of their like pastoral like with Radley, and so that's like a way in for whatever they're trying to do.
Okay.
And
So if Melissa's involved, like you
Yes.
think, sorry,
And
to
she's on the
interrupt.
Shauna.
She's on the Shauna Jenna side for
Yes,
sure. Okay.
absolutely.
Just because.
Absolutely.
Okay. So she's not on the Wren side.
No.
Okay. That's what I was like. How does that form a relationship fall? Yeah.
Right. And that could be that he was close to Melissa about things because Melissa also went to UPenn.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe Wren had met Cece at UPenn and had gotten close to Melissa for other reasons related to them, because they were all at Penn. And that's why he was dating her in general. I think Shauna, Jenna, and team is mainly trying to figure out who's trying to come after them. And maybe that's a good reason too for Redcoat. If it is one of the Shauna, Jenna, and Melissa team, is they're trying to see if Melissa's, it seems spooked by it. It could be they're trying to see if Allison's still alive and is monitoring the house for her to come back.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that like Jessica set up the room because Allie was like coming back.
Right, exactly. Like, so she is trying to see if she is in fact still alive and coming after them. Or if Cece's coming back around because they're scared of her and need to like try and get one over on them on her because like who knows what Cece might do to like endanger them. And because I think everything's backfired on them since the lodge. They tried to burn everybody down, but obviously it didn't work. I think that's everything for this week. Is that everything for this week? So then maybe Redcoat is Shauna, Jenna team. And hoodies are Wren, Cece.
So that means
Mona.
Shauna, Jenna, and them flew in, which would make sense because of the connection with Nigel.
Yes. That is a good connection there. Because he covered up for them. Yep, I think that's right. Good call. Yeah, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm happy to
Thank you for sweeping into this.
Tie these threads together.
Thank you for landing the plane. I will cover up your flight pattern.
I can't promise you that my assisting is going to lead us in any sort of accurate direction because
that's not what this is for.
We're
in a police station.
We don't want the truth.
Oh my God. A quick aside. I've been reading Murder at the Vicarage, the first Marple book in Agatha Christie. Miss Marple book from Agatha Christie. It's also my first Agatha Christie novel. But there's an aside where, because the main inspector who's looking into the murder, our POV character is like, it essentially goes like, it seems like he's less concerned with whether they're guilty or not and how quick of a turnaround, or whether they are actually guilty or not, and more on the turnaround and ease in which they can complete the case. And I'm like, I fucking love it. It's a fantastic book. Everybody should read it. I'm having a great time. It's like it's so breezy. You just like crush it. Easy, breezy, beautiful. Cover girl. Yep. And like, good complicated stuff. You like murder mysteries. If you like this show, you will like. It's a similar thing where a bunch of people in a small town are all like, murder happens, and then they're all like, like, ooh, what is this? Rumors and all this and gossip and stuff. Mm-hmm. So good time. But back to this. So we are not here for big solid opinions. We're just trying to sort through the rubble, as so to speak, as the show drives a car into our proverbial living room. One of my favorite reveals happens in this season. The end of the season. I love it. What do you think it's going to be? So an allegiance of some sort to the A team, the United States of America. Man, and one of your favorite reveals. I would assume some character that we didn't know has been operating in the shadows. We're going to get an evil turn from someone. It's season 4, episode 20, I believe. Okay. I think there's 20. How many episodes are in this? 22? I think so. Cool. All right. Well, we'll wait for that evil turn I'm speaking about. Well, that's going to be after Ravenswood. So that's my best guess. Okay. All right. Well, that's it, everybody. We will see you all next time. Goodbye. Final thought is glad to have Wren as a bad guy.
We have 2 new episodes for next week that includes the mid-season finale or the summer finale. And then we take a break and then we do Ravenswood.
Then we do the Halloween episode then Ravenswood.
And then Ravenswood. Okay.
So coming up on Ravenswood, when we do that, I know you can like buy Ravenswood places, but I will do more search onto like where you can watch it and make sure we can point people in the right direction. I think it might all be on YouTube, but I'll have more definitive answer when we cross that bridge. But I do know you can buy it. So,
I love it.
All 10 episodes.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for Ravenswood because I just have no idea. I mean, I didn't have any idea about going into this show, but we've been doing this for, we've gone through 3.5 seasons of this, so almost so far. So it's like, what could this possibly be? Is it a gem that just no one watched, or is it going to be interminable?
I have never watched all of it. I've only watched clips from YouTube. I'm pretty sure at this point, though, I've seen all of it throughout clips, It's kind of like when you turn on TV and you keep seeing episodes of Scrubs until you've seen all of Scrubs. And then you're like, how did I watch all of Scrubs? That was not a conscious choice I made.
Some of us ordered a season DVD at the time.
Well, we all follow our own paths.
Some of us loved Scrubs.
And nothing against it. I just didn't ever pick it. It was always on.
I wouldn't recommend like people to like look up Scrubs now.
But yeah, I'm intrigued to watch it like episode, like fully like that, because I just know the kind of gist of it.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited.
The vibe.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for us to get to a show where you also have no idea what's going on.
Except I do, and I know how it ends. Okay. I've seen all of the clips.
What actually is going to be the first show? Is it going to be The Perfectionist or whatever?
That I haven't seen at all.
Is that the first one where you have no idea? Or is it going to be all the way until the new series?
Probably the new series, but even that, like, I've watched things about all of them.
Oh, okay.
Except for, I didn't watch The Perfectionist. I have no idea. I know who's in it, and I think I know the why. But like there's a huge plot hole that I can't bring up now that like since I've heard that it was happening doesn't make any fucking sense to me, because there's like a very specific thing that happens at the end of the OG run. And then it involves 2 characters, and then one of those characters is in The Perfectionist and not the other. And like, it doesn't seem like the type of situation where that should be a thing.
Okay.
But I don't know if that, like, the other person just didn't want to do it, or if they explain it away. They
probably have to, yeah.
But like, I don't know how you explain it away.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like a good analogy for it. It'd be like if, I don't know. Like if a character I'll think about Jenna. Like if a character had a kid and then all of a sudden, like, okay, let's say Ezra's kid had been his, like, and Malcolm was his, and Malcolm was going to stay with him. And then they did a spinoff and they're like, Malcolm's with his mom.
Right. Got it.
You're like, oh.
Yeah. They're like, wait, but Fitz was the character.
And like
for the
they
show.
killed Maggie. And so like, you're like, no, where's Malcolm?
Right.
But it's not.
Or where's
Malcolm.
Fitz? You know?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's weird from what I can only assume, but I haven't seen it.
Also, only 1 season show. Yeah,
I don't think there were ever good PLL spinoffs that like picked up the same energy, because I think what this show, what we're also invested in is the girls and the friendships, and the 4 main girls that you start with. Yeah, they aren't really in either of those spinoffs because it's a spinoff.
Right.
And so because you don't have them, you kind of lose like the glue. And because you have 4 of them, you kind of have like a friend for everyone. So it's like, which one are you, like, are you a Spencer or an Aria? You know, like, it's very like, it's kind of like when you watch Sex in the City, like you're like, okay, you've got your Carries, you've got your Mirandas, like, and so to then have a show that is under the same umbrella, but without those cornerstones of the show,
right,
does it feel like the show?
True.
And like I think Ravenswood isn't supposed to feel like the show,
right, because
it's different.
He's leaving doing his own thing.
But like, does that necessarily make it good?
Right.
And does that same audience want to watch that?
Yeah.
And I think the resounding answer they go, no. But I don't know if that's, so it also Ravenswood has paranormal elements to it.
Right.
Which I think like, coming into it just from like the town. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if people were ready for that. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think,
or if they really just wanted to watch Caleb on his own.
Mm-hmm. Like, or did they want a show of Hanna and Caleb?
Right.
And because you get a little Hanna, but you don't get a lot of Hanna because like she has another show.
Right.
She's
the main character somewhere else.
Yeah, she's got shit to do. Yeah, and I think also because I think the ship culture and like it was so important to people that the idea that they created this show that then could potentially jeopardize that relationship. Mm-hmm. The fans were like, we don't want it.
Right.
But yeah. I don't know I didn't do like a lot of research around it. I didn't really watch it at the time because I was like, I watched the Halloween episode and I was like, ooh, Pookie. And I was like, not for me. Like, I was like, it's cool. I'll just wait for the show to come back.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I can see that people were just like, but this isn't the show I want to watch and this isn't what I'm interested in. This doesn't have all the characters I'm interested in either. It's
like, I always wonder if there had been a Riverdale and Sabrina crossover, would it have succeeded? I think it works in where Riverdale is now, but like, if they hadn't taken it to that like supernatural level, it wouldn't work and it would feel weird. Mm-hmm. It would feel very foreign to then all of a sudden have Sabrina walk in doing magic.
Right, totally.
And so I think that's kind of how people felt about this. It's not to that level, but it's like all of a sudden we're very invested in like a paranormal story or like an uncanny story.
Right.
And
when
like,
this used to be about like 14.
A murder mystery.
Yeah.
This missing girl.
You're right. Yeah.
And I think people were so desperate to know like what was happening with that it also felt, it's kind of like when they don't focus on the main plot for an episode and everyone's just like, why are we doing this?
Exactly. Yeah. They're like, I want more. I don't want
I'm not watching this for pleasure. I'm watching this for purpose. Exactly. I need to know.
And this doesn't fit. Like we still have so many things hanging. I don't want to like follow up on like what Caleb's doing over here.
I don't give a shit.
This isn't a good like off-season filler.
Well, and also it's like, oh, then do we lose that Caleb piece in Pretty Little Liars?
Right.
And I think they are supposed to timeline wise be tandem. So then that first part after they come back has like significantly less Caleb. Right. And so I think it was like, I don't know if people liked that.
Yeah.
Because like we like Caleb.
Totally. And it's like, but we want Caleb with everybody else. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the Jess backdoor pilot on Gilmore Girls. It was like, no, thank you. Mm-hmm. I always skip that part of the episode.
Yeah.
I really fast forward through it.
And then, yeah. Then they find parts for some people. Will have you come back later.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm really curious.
Me too.
All right. Well, you can find this podcast on YouTube at dead_ends. You can find this on all your podcast platforms of choice at Dead Ends. You can also follow us on Twitter for episode updates at deadendspcast. You can also email us questions, just general questions about show, characters, whatever you want to like ask about, to deadendspcast@gmail.com. And you can find the email in the description box for all the episodes.
And if you watched Ravenswood, let us know your thoughts on it.
Yeah, totally. I'd be interested.
Are you like, yeah, I'm so excited for you to watch it? Or are you like, please watch it quickly?
Right.
Nobody cares.
You're like,
who cares?
It'll be interesting to see that if there's a drop off, which I could see. And people are just like, we'll catch you when you come back around on season 4. Then you can also find our other link trees and stuff in there as well. Mm-hmm. But for now, we're still here. We're going to find out everything.
Are we?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's cute. You still think that?
It's my promise to the listeners.
No, I wouldn't make that promise. You can't keep it.